are these people?
This one really got me upset. And I don't even really subscribe to this publication much. But again, it's another one of these canaries in the coal mine that really scares the fuck out of me. This is the second time in the last 6 months now that I've seen an outlet or a publication exit a country, and now one that's completely closing because of the censorship and anti-terrorism crackdown rules on dissident media in European countries. And I'm worried it's going to spread here because Europe is usually a bellwether of what happens here as far as authoritarianism. All right. Possum King, Trump's bill has advanced possibly adding $5.2 trillion to the debt. True. And it probably will. He's only going to give a giveaway to his donors and supporters while we all take the hit and the haircut. But this one really pissed me off. This is Red Media out of Germany. Now, Red Media has been under assault for a long time, but they've decided that they're closing. Enough is enough. Amid mounting repression and direct threats to our team's safety, including danger to their lives, Red Media can no longer operate. So they made a full press statement available in multiple language, which we can read. They also did it in tweet format. So I'm going to put up the tweets. No, not in German, in English. All right. Oh, good. We can go right to it from there. Amid mounting repression and direct threats to our team's safety. Let me get rid of that. Thank you. Amid mounting repression and direct threats to our team's safety, including danger to their lives, Red Media, a project of Istanbul-based AFA Media, AS, can no longer operate. The current campaign against Red Media is a troubling strategy of modern disinformation perpetrated by the ruling class and its lackeys. At its core is the deliberate use of unfounded accusations amplified in a circular, constantly repeating process by media outlets and political actors and falsely presented as facts. Does that sound a lot like what Arturo just talked about in the last story? With ICE and DHS and Trump administration fabricating stories to push narratives? This campaign aims to intimidate, criminalize, and ultimately silence Red Media through lawsuits and media repression, with the calculation of forcing a criminal conviction through fabricated allegations and media pressure. The safety of our contributors, supporters, and followers is no longer guaranteed. Not like it ever really was. This is not a voluntary decision. It's the result of a coordinated crackdown led by the German government, backed by the EU, and carried out by German media outlets, unions, and foundations. It's also backed by Israel. It's repressive, unlawful, and dangerous. As we've warned, today we are the target, tomorrow it will be you. Meaning us. What we are witnessing is global normalization of repression, where speaking out against genocide is being systematically criminalized. Red Media was never the real threat. Our reach was. In just the first 9 months of 2024, we surpassed 483 million views. Well, they certainly never threw any our way, I'll tell you that much. What they fear are growing defiant voices against racism, fascism, apartheid, genocide, and imperialism. Check, 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 right here. We're proud of what we built and proud to be silenced for telling the truth. That's a weird flex, but okay. We refuse to look away from live-streamed genocide. We stood alone, we stood firm, but we were never alone. This was only possible because of all of you, those who take to the streets and speak out daily despite state and institutional violence and repression and pay the highest price. We remain firmly committed to the Palestinian people's demand for one democratic state where all communities can live together in peace, the only solution for Palestine. We expect even more repression and state violence against Red Media and its supporters. Our Twitter and Telegram channels will remain active, voluntarily run, to document the continued criminalization of Red Media and others. We will update you on these channels about the repression against us. To everyone who stood with us, thank you. This is not defeat. As Palestinian revolutionary George Habash once said, quote, as long as you are still fighting in defense of your dignity and for your occupied land, all is well. We've already won. We informed, trained, and inspired people across the globe. Now it's your turn to go further. Long live the struggle against imperialism, colonialism, apartheid, and all oppression. Free Palestine. Spread our statement and add your voice opposing the repression against Red Media and other dissenting voices. And the full press release is here at the Red Stream. All right. And this goes into a lot more detail about the letter that they received from the German police, that over the past months, we've been accused of instigating pro-Palestine protests in Germany, instigating the Humboldt County, Berlin occupation by pro-Palestinian activists, giving terrorists a platform, referring to our interviews with major relevant political actors in the Middle East, being a continuation of Redfish, which they were not, starting an alleged campaign against a journalist just by listing his journalistic background. Again, these accusations are not just fabricated. They're part of a broader strategy. Critical, dissident media like Red Media are to be defamed, criminalized, and ultimately dismantled. Our journalistic work is systematically distorted, and our positions are deliberately misrepresented. What we are experiencing is an orchestrated repression legitimized by a media-manufactured myth of threat. It is an attack on independent journalism and on every voice that challenges the official narrative. All right, and they go into specifically, this is again a much longer article about the misery of German journalism and how they've been cracking down on all the media. All right. The very same individuals who are now attacking us have remained silent, have downplayed or outright justified the killing of over 200 Palestinian journalists by the Israeli state over the past year and a half, yet are now expressing outrage over a factually correct social media post about a journalist imposed by the German newspaper Taz, Nicholas Potter. Potter's reporting aligns politically with the right, yet he presents himself as a leftist and is celebrated by supposedly left-wing newspapers, while at the same time writing for conservative ones, including the Jerusalem Post, a newspaper that often reads like a mouthpiece of the Israeli government. So their post about Nicholas Potter contained no falsehoods. All of it was based on information they took either from his own website or from the platforms, newspapers, and institutions he works or has worked for. It was a factual listing of his journalistic background. It's absurd that they're expected to apologize for this and further to be punished for it. Oh man, I'm writing an expose on a pseudo-journalist right now, and hopefully something like this doesn't happen to us. Despite accusations of spreading misinformation, no one has presented any evidence to substantiate these claims. 2 months ago, on March 17th, in Taz, Nicholas Potter claimed, quote, the campaign is coordinated. It was launched by the Russia-affiliated portal Red, the successor to RT's Redfish project. Without providing a single piece of evidence. They didn't provide evidence that Red is an extension of Redfish, because they're not. These statements are defamatory, false, and criminalizing. Through deliberate distortion, these motherfuckers. It's German scum. Through deliberate distortion and a reversal of perpetrator and victim roles, there is an attempt to construct a so-called Kremlin radical left Palestinian conspiracy against supposedly professional journalists in Germany. Give me a motherfucking break. All right? The Kremlin is making deals with Netanyahu. Come on. So this is the story about Nicholas Potter. So you can check that out. They post it up for all to see. We explicitly distance ourselves from any threats, insults, or defamation against journalists. As targets of such campaigns initiated by German media figures, union representatives, and NGOs, we know all too well what that looks like. Articles and posts of this exact nature were published by Nicholas Potter, Taz, the German state propaganda newspaper Tagesspiegel, and the Axel Springer Media Group, which includes Business Insider, by the way, trade union officials, among others, while all of the above now cry foul over supposed attacks and campaigns against them. We've called on all those who spread these false claims as facts to disclose whether they're actually checked and verify these allegations before publishing them. We reached out to editorial offices, journalists, even Reporters Without Borders Germany. To this day, no one has responded or provided evidence of their verification practices. Okay? And there is... Where did I lost my place there? Practices. Somewhere. I don't know. I lost it. All right. Do it live! Fuck it. Disinformation as a strategy of delegitimization. Again, they're trying to put out a narrative with this Redfish thing that Red Media was a successor to the Russian-funded digital media platform Redfish without a shred of concrete evidence and based solely on the professional connections of a few individuals. This speculation was later repeated as fact in an official statement by Antony Blinken. We covered that over the summer when they got them taken down or declared as a hostile agency, directly citing Tagesspiegel as the source, even though the source material itself contained no evidence. Then Tagesspiegel euphorically covered Blinken's statement. Their original unsubstantiated claim had been picked up and recycled into fact by the simple act of it being uttered from the lips of one of the most powerful politicians in the world, who's complicit for the genocide in Gaza himself. This reminds me of the Bush administration pushing the weapons of mass destruction through Judith Miller at the New York Times, and then saying, well, wait, Judith Miller at the New York Times said it. It must be true because they fed it to her. Same thing. Tagesspiegel, it must be true because you fed it to Blinken. But still, you provided no evidence. That's an original baseless assumption.
Stupid shit.
Right? An original assumption, baseless, gains apparent credibility through political repetition. This feedback loop where speculation references its own media coverage as proof is a classic method of discursive escalation. This is professional disinformation, just like it was in Iraq. The mechanism follows a clear pattern. An unsubstantiated assumption is made public, political or journalistic institutions pick it up and spread it, and the original source of the claim then uses the response to reframe the assumptions as a confirmed fact, used as well by Reporters Without Borders Germany. This manipulation serves multiple purposes. 1, to publicly discredit critical media actors. 2, to strip them of institutional credibility and to make them legally vulnerable. At the same time, it distracts from and undermines the actual work and investigations that critical media professionals are engaged in, particularly when it comes to hot-button topics such as Palestinian solidarity or scrutiny of NATO's malignant role in the world today, or its criminal role in the Ukraine war, in the proxy war against Russia. Under the guise of journalism and the fight against disinformation, there's a growing impression that parts of the media and some journalists themselves have become actors in the German state's information warfare, similar to what can be observed with media figures in Russia or the United States. State media, literally. What's especially dangerous is that many journalists no longer question the original source of such information. The allegation is adopted, amplified, and with each uncritical repetition, it's cemented in the public perception as truth, because perception is reality. And if nobody's correcting the record, that's what they're going to perceive as the reality until they find out otherwise. This strategy exploits journalism's credibility in order to undermine it. It claims to fight disinformation while deploying its very mechanisms. Where's Nina Jankowicz? I'll bet she's somewhere involved in all this shit. This same strategy is used to justify the crimes committed against the Palestinian people in Gaza, by the way. We asked all those who repeated the falsehoods as facts to show us whether they had actually fact-checked these allegations and verified them before publishing, but that just embarrasses them. We asked newspapers, journalists, again, even Reporters Without Borders Germany. None of them have provided any proof or insight into their verification process to this day because they don't have one. They're taking the state narrative. Good imperialist, bad imperialist. This is another central tactic of the German media's smear campaign, is the repeated baseless claim that we are either a continuation of Redfish or a Russian disinformation outlet. Okay, these allegations are not just false, they are strategic. They aim to do several things. Criminalize legitimate pro-Palestinian voices by spinning a conspiracy narrative that ties us to Russia, where they have sanctions against, so it makes it really easy to hold them accountable. Justify repression, arrest, prosecution, or even sanctions against Red Media and its members. They can attack dissenting voices and propagate the idea that Western imperialism is better than Russian imperialism. It's all imperialism. And they can create an atmosphere where journalists have to censor themselves due to fear of repression or criminal charges, which they are doing in Germany regularly. None of the outlets pushing this narrative have asked us about our stance on Russia, the war in Ukraine, or NATO. Not one, even though we invited them to do so. This omission is deliberate because our actual position would dismantle their story and disinformation strategy. Redfish was funded by Ruptly, a Russian company based in Germany. This information is not the result of investigative journalism. On the contrary, it was openly communicated on Redfish's website and was not part of any concealment tactic. We've repeatedly made our position clear, and I don't know if I agree with it, but okay. Russia is an imperialist power pursuing its own geopolitical interests like the US, China, EU, and NATO. We reject all... I didn't hear that, whatever that is.
China.
Yeah. We reject all their policies and military actions. We have publicly criticized the invasion of Ukraine and reported on opposition figures being arrested and made clear in our reporting that this is a war, that this war is a war between two imperialist blocs. Still, German media ignores these facts. Instead, they rely on propaganda tactics that echo the disinformation playbooks of darker times. This is not journalism, it's criminal behavior. These facts are systemically ignored by German media because they're told to. Instead, discrediting methods are used that have more in common with propaganda than journalism, which is what media is today. Through the constant repetition of unsubstantiated allegations, an artificial evidentiary framework is constructed, a classic disinformation tactic. Let us be clear, we do take a side in this war. We stand with the people. We stand with every voice calling for an end to the violence. We stand with those in Ukraine and Russia and across the world who resist imperialism. Those who suffer, those who mourn, those who dare to dissent. We stand with those paying the price for it, working class people in Ukraine and Russia and everywhere else. We will take legal action against each journalist, outlet, foundation, trade union, and their representatives involved in spreading this disinformation campaign. We hold you accountable for any type of repression against Red Media and its members.
Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism.
And there's a lot more here.
The big landlord class and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them.
Again, I read this part. This is what came out of those tweets. YouTube has bent the knee, but we will not. So we need your help. And to help fund the media you want to see, Red's no longer around. We're still here. So Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, or at INNnewsletter.com, where we are live right now. You can go watch us live at INN Newsletter. Support independent media, kids, because we need it more than ever. And I love you, and have a good night, fam.
Keep listening to what boats have to tell you.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? To 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison.